My name is Kendra Plum, so I work for CHS. I am the marketing and communications specialist, and I have a little bit of a unique position in that I work for the 3 Colorado business units. So I am based in Haxton, but I get to travel around to a bunch of the different locations. So I travel from Holyoke to Sterling and a little bit farther west, and then down to Yuma, and work with the 3 different business units. So when I say business unit, we're still CHS, but we're different separate businesses under the CHS umbrella. So it'd be CHS Grainland and the CHS, the agronomy division, so they're called AIP, which is Agronomy Internal Partnership, and then CHS based in Yuma, so that's formerly the M&M Cooperative, which was in Yuma, and so Yuma County, and goes a little bit farther west and then a little bit farther south. So, so as a marketing and communications specialist, my primary job is to do communication, whether that's internal or external within the company. Some of my key areas that I focus on would be website. There's 2 different websites for the 3 different business units. So I try to keep those as updated as possible and work with CHS parameters in order to do that. So that's a big chunk. And then social media is of course very important in this day and age, and so we just try to keep a presence out on our social media channels. Facebook and Twitter are what we're focusing on right now, and of course we just have to be flexible as things change. But we've found that Facebook and Twitter probably are the 2 where we get the best bang for the buck, I guess, so to speak. So I put out posts on both of those, do some Facebook advertising within the Facebook platform, and we have found a lot of positive feedback from that. So I do a lot of that, and then the advertising is another big component of my job. So work with the newspapers, radio, trade journals, things along those lines, and take care of that for the general managers who kind of say, I'd like to do this, but I just don't have time to create it. So would you take care of that for me? So that's kind of what I do. In addition to that, I do have some human resources responsibilities. So I help with payroll, help if employees need to go on leave, if they have questions about any of their benefits, or if they have questions about their time off, things along those lines. So I help with that. It's a fairly big company and employs quite a few people in this northeastern corner of the state, so there's always human resources questions that come up, and it might not sound too exciting, but the really neat thing about doing human resources work is that you get to meet everybody and work with them on a personal level, and so I do enjoy that. So I appreciate the human resources side of my job as well. As far as my background, I graduated from Yuma High School in Yuma, Colorado, and I started out by going to college at Northeastern Junior College in Sterling, and then went on to Colorado State University and graduated from there with a degree in agricultural journalism. So I actually started out as an education major, and then ended up changing my major because I wanted to get back to my ag roots, and so went to ag journalism and enjoyed my time in college. As far as my path that's gotten me to this position, I've had 2 other jobs since graduation, actually 3, I take that back, which kind of led me to this position. So when I first graduated, I worked for a radio station in Sterling and did radio sales. And I did that for 6 months, and I decided I didn't really like walking into the door of a place and seeing people think, I could just tell in their minds they were thinking, oh, here's that radio sales gal, and we don't want to do anything different with our radio, so we don't want to talk to her. So I decided maybe radio, like door-to-door radio sales maybe wasn't my thing. So then a position came open in Holyoke. The the executive director of the Phillips County Family Education Services. And so I did that for 10 years. So we taught English as a second language to adults and had some family programming and GED programming. And so that's where I reconnected with my love of education and working with people. And then following that, for 9 years, I was the Phillips County 4-H agent and really enjoyed, again, working with the youth and with the adults as well. And then a position became available here with CHS, and it maybe allowed me to get back to more of what my career path was when I got my degree in ag journalism. And it was just a new challenge and a new opportunity, and so I decided to take it, and I've been with CHS now for a little over a year. So you just never know where a career is going to take you, where it's going to lead. And so I think being open-minded about where you start and where you see yourself, you're not probably going to start off right at that your vision as far as where you think your career is going to take you. You've got to really work in the trenches and figure out what your strengths are and what your passion is. And if that's something different than maybe what you went to college for, that's okay. I think it's okay to make those transitions and just find something that you enjoy and that you have a passion for. I think that's really important when you're choosing your career. Let's see. As far as for my position, day to day, I talked a little bit about working with social media, working with the websites. So really that's a big brunt of my day. I do communicate very closely with, essentially I have basically 4 bosses. I have my supervisor that's listed on paper, and she's a big resource to me. Her main role is human resources, and so for all of my HR questions I go to her. But then there's 3 different general managers for the 3 Colorado CHS business units, and so I work very closely with all 3 of them. And so communication is a huge key in my job, whether it's written or verbal. I feel that it's very important and it's very necessary, not only for me to do my job, but for me to find out from others what it is that they need me to be doing. So communication is very critical and key for a marketing and communications position. As far as when you first come into a position like this, entry-level salary there's just such a wide range. It's really difficult probably to pinpoint because CHS being such a large global enterprise, a corporate company, each division and each business unit kind of sets what their salary ranges are. But if you came into this fresh out of college, you might be looking in the $40,000 to, I'm going to say $40,000 to $50,000 range. But again, that is just basically a range. That's a very soft range and nothing that would be definite. But and I think a lot of that is dependent on where you choose to live as well. Rural salaries are probably a little bit different than what you would see in a more urban setting. So, you have to kind of weigh out what the pros and cons of living rural versus urban would be. The other thing, I guess, to touch on a little bit with CHS and working for a larger company is that there are great benefits that come along with that. When I'm talking benefits now, I'm meaning like medical insurance, retirement, pension, 401k, things like that. I understand as younger youth that that's probably not something that you're thinking about right now, but I would encourage you to think about that as you're picking your career path, because it will be something that is going to be very important to you, especially as you get married and have a family. What kind of benefits can you provide to your family? That's huge, and CHS really steps up to the plate and has great benefits for their employees. So I think that that's something for you to take a look at. As far as when I was in junior high, high school, and the classes that I chose to take, I definitely was agriculture minded. I come from a farm and ranch, so when the opportunities presented themselves to join FFA, to take ag-related classes, that's what I did. And so if you're looking at an ag field that you want to go into, I would definitely encourage you to take, ag-related classes, but then also business courses, science courses, math courses. For anything ag-related, those are going to be very, very important. So that might not be what you want to hear, but it is true. And if you have opportunities to take some college courses while you're still in high school, I would recommend that option. That's just going to help you when you get into college. It lessens the number of courses that you have to take, and it also helps you out from a financial standpoint, that you're not having to pay 100% tuition on some of those classes. So, and also, if you have an idea of what college you might want to go to, get on their websites, see what they recommend, what do they want to see you come in to college with, as far as courses that you've already taken. I've got a junior in high school right now, and that's the position we're in, is she's trying to narrow down what school she wants to go to and get on those websites and see what she needs to take as required. So that's something to look at. I guess lastly, as far as just thinking about going into a career in agriculture, specifically CHS, but as agriculture as a whole, whether you're looking at going back to the farm or you want to be in some kind of supportive role, farmers and ranchers have to be there. I mean, there's no one else to feed this growing world. So I think it's absolutely critical that we get people that come back to the farm, and also people that are involved in those professional supportive roles for our farmers and ranchers. And technology is going to play a huge role in that. We've seen that shift. I definitely encourage you to look at CHS. If there's, whether it's actually working with the farmer directly, or if it's working in kind of a support role, kind of like what I'm in. CHS is a very large company, and you'll probably be able to find something that you're interested in, and it can take you far. It can take you overseas to many different locations. So with that, I encourage you to look at CHS.